Check it out. Let me tell you one.
Freedom for all!
What is up, my MMA brothers and sisters? Welcome to episode 12 of Let's Talk MMA. I'm your host, Raul, and I have another special guest. I have James from MMA Value. Now, for you betting folks out there, I'm not a gambling man myself, but for you who look at picks, you got some money down, need a little bit of help, or maybe need some advice on who you should pick, that is exactly what this man James does. He studies it. He's even putting it out there. MMA Value. I'm gonna put this Instagram page. I'm gonna show how basically his picks equal making money. So I'm very curious to hear his input. Obviously, I think he has a little bit more analytics behind it. You know, he understands the differences between an emotional pick with your heart and then your realistic pick, which is cool because it's kind of like me. Who are you going for, and who do you think is gonna win? So I'm very excited to talk about him, and we're going to talk about UFC Fox 23. We got the main event. We got Julianna Pena. We got Valentina Bullet Shevchenko, and this is obviously one of those fights. It's going to be a 5-round fight, main event. Whoever wins this, I would say, has the implications that they're going to fight Amanda next. Obviously, you never know what's going to happen, but I think that's what this fight is all about. But this card is actually huge, so I'm going to give some very notable mentions of the rest of the card because we're only going to go over the top 3 main fights. So just quick little call outs. Henrique Frankenstein da Silva, he's been doing very well. I would check out that fight. Rafael Sunsao, Aljamain Sterling are going to go against each other, so that's going to be another great fight. Nate the Great Marquardt against Sam Smiley Alvey, that's going to be great. And then Alex Caceres is coming back. He had a crazy fight versus Yuri Rodriguez. If you haven't seen that, definitely notable there. So I'm very excited to see him back in action. So without further ado, let's give James a call and let's talk about the top 3 main fights of this next UFC Fox 23. James.
How's it going, man?
What's up, brother? It's going very well. How are you, sir?
I'm good today. How are you?
I'm great. Well, I just gave you a nice little intro, told people about your page on Instagram, MMA Value. So why don't you just start us off with a nice little intro about yourself and your page and exactly the value that you are looking to give people.
I appreciate the introduction. My name is James. I'm hardcore MMA fan. I was a pro wrestling fan growing up. Got in from Lesnar going over to the UFC. Then just fell in love with it, and I've just gotten deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole as it's gone on. I always enjoy, looking at the odds for fights, betting on fights. I spent so much time reading, watching it, figure I might as well try to make some money. And what I realized was, when I was just going off of what I kind of remembered about a fight or things I had heard, I would do okay. But when it was fights where I had seen all their previous fights, when I actually did some kind of research on them, I did pretty well. And I figured, if I'm going to be gambling on these fights, I'm going to be betting on these fights, I can either go, I should either just stop doing it if I'm not going to take it seriously, or I should go all the way in. And I decided to go all the way in. I look at every fight I'm betting on. It's nothing about fandom, who I like, who I don't like. Types where I'm a huge Conor McGregor fan, but I usually don't bet on his fights, at least officially, because I wouldn't recommend that because I know I'm betting, with my heart going one way. Every fight I'm betting on, I'm looking for the best value. It's data analysis, it's tape analysis, it's reading other experts, so I do my best. All my picks are third-party tracked at betmma.tips, and I'm MMA Value on there as well. And so right now, all the picks are free. I'm all tracked, all publicly available. I'm on Instagram, MMA Value, on Twitter, MMA_value. So all the picks are there. I'm doing my best, and like I said, I'm just looking to provide the best value and track all my picks so everybody can see and make some money too.
That's cool. And one thing you mentioned earlier, which I thought was pretty cool. I mean, a lot of times people are fixed on the big fights, the big names, but like you kind of mentioned, there's a lot of value to be seen at the lower, preliminary cards, the new up-and-comers. There's a lot of people don't know about them, so I figure the betting odds kind of are a little weird there, to where if you kind of know what you're talking about and you've done your research, there's money to be made.
Definitely, man. That's one of the things I realized too is there's value in the market everywhere. You got to see, but $1 on Cyril Asker is the same as $1 on Conor McGregor. Is one of the things I've realized.
Yeah.
So if I see value in a big fight, I'm a fight fan at heart. I'm gonna still watch. I'm gonna still care. But if I see more value on these prelims, and that's where a lot of it is these guys who are coming in with one UFC fight with no UFC fights. But if you go on YouTube, Facebook, you can find their old fights. There's a lot of value to be there, and that's where I find a key advantage in the market, and that's what I try to exploit.
Hey, very cool, very cool. I mean, I'm typically not a gambling man. If I probably put money on a lot of these fights, I'm probably like 50-50.
Yeah.
But that makes me very intrigued to kind of follow your page, talk to you today, because, hey, what's $20 here and there, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's get everything started. We're going to talk about the top 3 fights. So let's get started with the very first one now. Francis Ngannou versus Andrei Arlovski. Now, my heart wants to go with Andrei Arlovski, but I'm actually going to be a little more realistic on here with this one because Ngannou is young. He's only like 30 years old. He's huge. He's strong. And even though he carries all of this muscle, I mean, for 9-1 being his record, I mean, he's fighting like a very experienced fighter. He kind of waits for his opportunity. Maybe he'll do, his 1-2, and he'll wait for an opportunity to then do like a 4-piece or a 3-piece, and then he finishes fights. And he's even got 4 submissions where his ground game is looking better and better. So I just think it's going to be a lot for Andre to handle. I think Ngannou's going to pretty much take this, but it's a heavyweight fight. Anything can happen. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, man, I'm with you. I mean, I don't have the connections Arlovski that a lot of guys do, so I'm coming this more from just an agnostic perspective. I'm a fan of both these guys. I've seen their fights, but it's MMA. Anything can happen. I don't see a way Arlovski's winning this fight. And Ngannou is bigger, stronger, more athletic, more explosive. Arlovski's showing a lot of wear, and a lot of talk has been made about his resurgence. And I'm glad he's got some wins, but it was a controversial split decision over Brennan Schaub. It was a fight over Travis Brown where he almost got knocked out,
right.
And then he's been finished 3 times in a row by Overeem, by Stipe, and by Barnett. And I just don't, except for Stipe, I think, and maybe over, but definitely Barnett cracked him a lot. Ngannou hits harder than those guys. He's more explosive than those guys. It's not reinventing the wheel. I'm not really there's not much to say. This fight's kind of, you get what you see, and that's one of the things I like to talk about before with value is the line reflects that. I'm not going to say never. I don't have any of my picks locked in, but at first glance, there's not much value in this line. I'm going to look at some of the props when they come out because it reflects Ngannou is a heavy favorite, and that's what he should be.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of these things that I think we're starting to see a lot more of, which is kind of for a longtime fan and myself, that's a little disheartening is stepping stones. It's almost like they're setting Ngannou up to beat this big name, this veteran. And it's kind of sad to see. I mean, I see it more that way. I mean, a lot of people are like, maybe, hey, Andrei Arlovski, I mean, you always give him a chance, but I mean, facts are facts. He's definitely been warned. He's getting knocked out a little easier than ever before, and Ngannou is just fresh as can be. So I think we hit the nail on the head with that one. Now let's move on to the next fight: Jorge Masvidal, Gamebred, versus Donald Cowboy Cerrone. Now this is just gonna be a fun fight to watch. Both guys are still very young.
Yeah.
Both guys have a very similar style. Both guys are very well rounded. Now, Masvidal's always been a welterweight, so he's always kind of been used to fighting these bigger guys. But Donald Cerrone has been doing fantastic, holding his own no problem at 170. So on this one, I wouldn't even put any money if I was gonna bet on either one because who knows what's gonna happen. But I do kind of favor Cerrone, but I just think it's gonna be a battle.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. If there was a prop on will I love this fight, that's probably the one thing I could give you as a lock.
Right.
Other than that, man, I came in this just without, like I said, watching any tape or anything. I was leaning heavily Cerrone, and I'm still leaning Cerrone because he's just been on a killer run at welterweight.
Yes.
But one of the things I've realized is watching that Matt Brown fight is he obviously won, he got the knockout, but there's an argument he lost those first 2 rounds, and he gets hit with punches a lot. And watching some of Masvidal's fights, especially the Ellenberger fight, that's what scared me the most. If that fight hadn't happened, I'd probably heavily Cerrone. But his pace in that fight and his just volume punching, he just keeps throwing and throwing and hitting and hitting. And that's scary for a guy like Cerrone who can be knocked out, who can be rocked.
Yeah, because Masvidal's very fast. I mean, he's as fresh as can be. I mean, he's got over 40 fights. I mean, they both do. I mean, I think you're bringing up really good points, actually, because Masvidal, when I see him, and especially right now, it's like he's getting a stride. He knows this is a big fight. He knows he needs to win this. And Cerrone, sometimes he goes in there like, hey, I just love fighting. We'll see what happens. And there's a mental game in there too. I mean, let me ask you about that. Like, when you're doing this analysis and all of that, I mean, do you kind of keep that in mind as well? Like, where are they at mentally? Like, where are they at? What kind of things they've been saying lately to kind of skew maybe your decision?
I do, and also for this, I think it's really evident, like, kind of their attitudes towards fighting, where it's evidenced by the results. Like, someone like Cerrone, he's all the way, within the past year, he's all the way up, knocking dudes out who have never been knocked out, and he's all the way down, getting stomped down in a minute.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, he just takes these fights, he keeps going all the way. Meanwhile, someone like Masvidal is just a gritty fighter. And whether he's fighting, Benson Henderson or Ross Pearson, he's fighting guys different weight classes, different, skill levels. Yeah. Every fight, it's a decision. It's a split decision. He's always just in there for a gritty brawl. And Cerrone's the kind of guy who he'll fight up and down to his opponent, and sometimes it ends super quick. Whereas Masvidal, he's always just in there. It's a tough fight, and there's so many variables in this fight. Like we were saying before, it's going to be fun. That's probably the only sure thing.
Yeah.
But it's a toss-up. I would say I'm leaning Cerrone, but it's a wild fight.
It's going to be close. I mean, I see it maybe standing up, but Cerrone's ground game is very sneaky, and I've seen good wrestling out of Masvidal, but not necessarily submission attempts. He's more of a KO, TKO kind of finisher. But it's going to be a fun one. I think we'll agree there. But if you had to pick somebody, like you said, you're leaning Cerrone?
Yeah, I'm leaning Cerrone just because Cerrone's lately has just been, ever since he's been with Brandon Gibson, really shooting up. And except for the Ellenberger fight, which also, watching it, we all remember that Ellenberger got stomped out.
Yeah.
And he lost, obviously. Like, Masvidal was clearly in that fight, but Ellenberger had survived the main beating. It was actually off of one of his takedown attempts that his foot got caught. So that fight could have easily been another Masvidal special.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I'm going Cerrone, but there's so many ways this fight can end.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. I mean, fun is for sure on that fight. But now let's get into the main event. We got 2 ladies. We got Valentina Shevchenko, Julianna Pena. At main eventing, so this is going to be 5 rounds. I was mentioning at the beginning of the show that anything can happen, especially nowadays. But this seems like winner here is going to be the next to fight Amanda Nunes. So having them go 5 rounds is a great idea to kind of prep them for that. But now Valentina actually fought Amanda already, and Julianna, I mean, she's been calling out for a title fight for a while, but I think her toughest and most notable win was versus Kat Zingano. And the way I see this fight kind of going on is Valentina's got all the striking she needs. She's a great counter striker. I mean, Julianna basically needs to take it to the ground, but Valentina's defense and toughness on the ground is really well. So I'm kind of torn here. My heart goes to Julianna. I really like her. I've been following her a long time, and she's as tough as it gets, but this is a tough fight. What are your thoughts?
Coming in, I was favoring Julianna. I had, just from what I remembered of her. But after watching tape, I'm pretty heavily going towards Valentina and the over. And if I'm gonna take action on one of these 3, obviously, I want to see where the final prop lines are, see where the best value is. But I'm really thinking Valentina. What I've realized is that striking, it's pure Valentina.
Right.
She's got that very traditional Muay Thai stance. She's very stoic. There's no wasted movement. It's very by the books, but very well done.
Right.
You know, she was able to outstrike Holly Holm, who's a world-class boxer, and Julianna's not a world-class striker. A lot of times, even against someone like Jessica Ai, who's I'm pretty sure 0-4 in the UFC, or as well, also a lot of her fights in a row, she was coming forward like this and just eating punches to the face. That's not going to work against Valentina. Also, I didn't realize how good Valentina's offensive grappling game. She's very good clinch takedowns. She took Holly Holm down a lot. She was able to take Amanda Nunes down in that third round. And one of the things, too, that also makes me lean towards the over in addition to Valentina is her grappling game, both offensively and defensively, is really just very still. On defense, if you're on top of her, you're not really getting anything. She's going to hold you until either the ref separates it or you get frustrated and make a move. And offensively, she's just going to stay on top of you. And that's a big problem for Pena, because what I realized, especially in that Ngannou fight, is she gets taken down a lot. Her offensive takedowns aren't that good. Ngannou took her down over and over again.
Yeah.
And Pena's saving grace was that she was able to transition out and get on top, and she was able to win 2 of the rounds. That's not happening with Valentina, because Kat Ngannou was willing to scramble. She's willing to get in there to mess it up. Valentina's not. If you get Valentina down, she's going to hold you on top. And if Valentina gets you down, which is a very big problem for Pena, that's a very, very real possibility, giving Shevchenko's clinch takedowns, Pena's not going to hit those transitions because Valentina's really just going to hold on her, do minimal striking, but control her. And if Pena even starts to get up a little, I'm pretty sure Shevchenko is going to disengage, stand up, and then on the feet, Pena's going to get lit up again.
Yeah. I mean, this is an intriguing one because, I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head of exactly what I was thinking too. I think Julianna should not be playing many games on the stand-up. I mean, I think her punches are so wild, which is one of those things. It sometimes works because it's just untraditional and you know, you just don't know what the heck is being thrown at you. And that's how she kind of gets in close. Her trips are very good, so I can see her taking this to the ground. And the other thing that kind of worries me is Julianna's been out for a little bit. I don't recall. I'm trying to look up when her last fight was, and that's another. It was a
Ngannou fight last July.
So that was last July. So that was actually just about the same. So it's like one of those things I'm trying to keep in mind as well. I mean, when fighters fight often, you know, you can just see that comfort level and that you know, just automatic smooth transition into their moves. It's like they could train and they could be great, but they need to keep it sharp. And the more that they fight, the more that they're in there, the sharper they are. I think that's why Donald Cerrone's been really good, because he just keeps going in there, and you just see how sharp he is with everything. So that little bit kind of worries me, but Julianna knows that this is a big opportunity. I'm sure she knows that winning this fight, and that's the other thing. I mean, I think both girls have, but Julianna in her fights, if she is down, she kicks it up a notch. She knows she needs to go in there, and Valentina's just is tough too. So that's why it's like, wow, both of these girls are super tough, great contenders for Amanda. And yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, in this fight, you weren't on right now, but there's a lot of other fights on this card that I'm like, wow, whether it's the matchmaking or whatever it is that they're doing there at UFC, we got a lot of good fights. This event is amazing. So either way, I appreciate you. I'm going to end this here, but I appreciate your time and coming on. Is there anything else that you would like to say either about this event or your page, MMA Value?
2 quick things. One thing you actually brought up that's another very good point, made me think, is that Pena has never gone 5 rounds before. So we don't really know about her durability. Shevchenko has gone 5 rounds with Holly Holm in a fight she won. And she also survived 2 vicious rounds of Amanda Nunes. And we've seen how that can go. And that coming in that 3rd round, she was as durable as ever and was ready to take the fight over. And also, in terms of my page, you know, thank you for the opportunity. You know, I'm getting started with this. Been picking for a while. I'm really taking it, you know, ready to take this thing to a whole nother level. BetMMA.tips. I'm MMA Value on there. That's where all my picks are tracked. And then on Instagram and Twitter, I'm MMA Value, MMA_value on Twitter. And, you know, if anybody has any questions about any fights or wants to answer, even if I don't have a pick for it, you know, reach out. I love to talk any fights. And, you know, I started my tape watching on some of the prospect fights. Those are a little harder to get tape for because, you know, not everything's on Fight Pass.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing some good things for this event, and I'm looking to have a very good 2017.
Hey, well, you're paid. You're putting your money where your mouth is. I think that's great. Obviously, you have a history, but this kind of, is your start of really kicking it up a notch. So I wish you the best of luck. I'll definitely, obviously, keep in mind. Maybe we can do this again as well, because I love touching base with anyone and everyone. So hopefully we could do another episode together. So thanks again for coming on. And really quick, what is your pick for Julianna Pena? I think we've been agreeing this whole time, but I'm going to go with Julianna.
Pick. I want to see what the final lines are and what the final props are at, but I'm expecting to have an official pick on Shevchenko. Also, like the over in that fight, and there's some other prelim fights. So I'm going to get you guys some good picks at this event.
Very good, very good. Well, for me, I'm going to go with Julianna. I'll just throw my heart out there just to go against the money in this case. But either way, it's going to be a great show. And again, thank you for your time, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, man, for the opportunity. I'm looking forward to doing it again.
All right, brother. Take care.
Take care.
All right, well, there you go. I mean, very interesting. Of course, I always think of it the two ways. Who am I going for, and who do I think is going to win? And who do I think is going to win is who I would put money on if I was betting. But so it was great to kind of get his straight up kind of thing. That's what he does. It's about who's going to win. So it was great to kind of get that input. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Check him out, MMA Value. And really quick, this is a quick thank you. This shirt right here is available at Raider101.com. It says, work hard, following your dreams. And that's exactly what I'm doing with this. Meeting fighters, meeting people, talking MMA. It is my passion. So that is why I ended up doing all of this. So I want to give a big thank you to all of you who have liked, watched, commented, subscribed, to all the different social medias that are out there and here on YouTube. So thank you guys, and follow your guys' passion. Work hard, following your dreams. And until next time, peace.